Welcome back to Cybersecurity Global Webinar Series. Now we have a session by Mr. CHAS Murty, Associate Director, C-DAC, Hyderabad, India. So we have the session on open source tools for cybersecurity. I request Murty Garu to hand over the session. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Global Webinar Series. Sir, Murty Garu, please share your screen and unmute yourself.
Just a minute.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for giving the opportunity, and it's a privilege for me to be part of a global series of cybersecurity webinar. And especially, I'm thankful to Mr. Professor Chakravarti and Mr. Sivaramakrishna and all Department of Computer Science, JNTUV, Vijayanagram. So coming to this lecture, maybe I am discussing about what kind of tools are available with respect to, and especially open source tools for cybersecurity for next 1 hour. Maybe questions can be taken after this session because of I need to discuss a number of tools. Based on that, the questions can be taken in the last slide. So. So IBM buys Red Hat. Why did IBM buying Red Hat? The Red Hat company is 100% open source company, and that is also at a 34 billion deal. So it's the biggest software acquisition ever. So why is IBM spending so much money on Red Hat? So if they require, they can download entire open source basis software, whatever Red Hat is developed and supporting, and they can redesign it or re-release it also. But still, IBM is planning to, or maybe bought already within this 34 billion. The reason could be twofold. First, it's about positioning IBM as in a cloud power, and second, it's about investing in an open source. The two are intimately connected. So let's take an example of Microsoft Azure. Other than Microsoft Azure cloud platform, the most of the cloud platforms are built on Linux, that is open source software. Even in Azure also, the Linux virtual machines now make off of Azure's workload. Many of those, by the way, are Red Hat Linux VMs. This could be the one of the reason to become IBM coming into the power of cloud. And also IBM has a long history of working in open source. In fact, in many ways, IBM is partly responsible for the open source movement success. IBM's strong support for Linux with a number of patent pledges and investment of significant technical resource in the face of some of the legal uncertainty surrounding its use in the late 1990s, brought about a change in posture toward open source for many enterprises. So this is where that the power of open source. So it's look like it's a open and available for, but there is a number of deals are happening to buy such kind of this one. So basically, this is I'm showing here some of the companies where as an open source facilitators, but these are these are only few open source facilitators, and that is also for cybersecurity. Every successful project or product, whether it is a commercial or open source, engaging a broader ecosystem of our ecosystem in particular to raising funds, benefit from active leadership, besides pure technical contributions are much important. So why? Because I'm telling that the contributors of open source often have work outside of the project that puts their time on demand. Also, it's take real time to build and coordinate an ecosystem in developing the products. So that's what, even if we are saying an open system, the code is open and everything is free, but there are a lot of time, lot of management time invested in designing and developing these open source facilities. That's what we request you to, when you are participating in the open source, use it, build it, and again share it. So this is the concept. We can get as many as open source products. So before going that further, so let we know about what is that exactly open source. Whether it could be a software, whether it could be hardware, or even firmware. So, but this lecture scope is limited to software. So let me define. The open source software refers to software that is collaboratively or that is developed, tested, or improved through public collaboration and distributed with the idea that they must be shared with others, ensuring an open future collaboration. So now coming to the open source software for cybersecurity. So there are number of softwares are there as defined in the definition, but we look into that majorly that how this open source software for cybersecurity alternative to a commercial tool of cybersecurity. So why we will discuss in next slides. So before going to that further, so we need to understand what kind of cyber security tracks are available. Let's take is how can we classify activities in cyberspace with respect to the cybersecurity? There are different methods of protecting data. Therefore, generally we devise 3 cybersecurity tracks so that aspiring researchers can gain skills and knowledge applicable to their research. Let's say first one is offensive. Offensive is mainly deploys a proactive approach to security through the use of a kind of an ethical hacking, exploit research, etc. Now, second one is the defensive track. So basically, this is the methodology generally uses a reactive approach to security that focuses on prevention, detection, and response to attacks. The third one could be a general track. Basically it's a combination of both offensive and defensive wherever the situation demands that both can work at a time. Like any utilizing a mix of offensive and defensive tactics to provide cybersecurity. With the increase of cyber breaches and hackers, the sophistication and the diversification of threat vectors, companies must incorporate offensive security strategies also in their cyber security. Now most of the companies are moving towards, rather than reactive, they are trying to be proactive to secure their things. In this figure 1, so basically it's an approach of offensive based. So they collect the reconnaissance part, that is majorly collecting the information. Based on the collection, they may be understood, they may understand about the vulnerabilities with respect to target system and try to weaponize some tools with respect to that particular vulnerability for a target. Then they try to deliver it, and you may be knowing about the exploit, payload, and vulnerability. These 3 are very much interrelated. If you wanted to run an exploit on a target system, you need like a payload to deliver at the target system. And where that vulnerability is, when the vulnerability exists in the remote system itself, then you can do these 2 things, like delivering through in a payload to exploit that particular target system. Once you exploit it, you need to have a control on the target system. Whenever you want to execute something on the target system, that control is must. And also you need to maintain that access continuously to control that particular system, and even whenever you wanted to execute that things. So this is way offensive approach. So maybe it can be applied. This offensive approach also can be applied in securing your systems. So now coming to the figure 2, which is majorly defensive. So the people may be identifying the vulnerabilities within their system and collecting the information and trying to understand the vulnerabilities, then doing a patch to protect, and again detecting and responding the things to something happen to their system and try to recover. So this is the major difference between offensive and defensive. But however, for both, you required a kind of an intelligence, threat intelligence with respect to your system. Where does cyber defense stop and where offense begins? So whenever you maybe sometimes you easily can understand we need to do an offensive. Like take an example of recent border conflict between China. So when something is makes us too offensive, then try to uh, avoid defensive things and attack or be offensive mode so that the troops of China may go back. So the same thing applies here also. But however, you need to have some kind of an intelligence, collecting the information, collecting the about things how it happens, and analyze it and keep with dissemination to various tools to protect either it is offensive or defensive. So the threat intelligence is much important. Now further, we'll go for before discussing the tools, like what exactly you are. So because before we talk about various features built into the free or open source security systems, we need to understand some few terminologies. As you are being a kind of a researcher or in a home user or maybe an office user or maybe doing security research also. But fundamentals are required. That's what before starting my lecture, we would like to understand what other things are there. A network is typically divides into home-based LAN. Let's take example of your LAN with wireless devices, and maybe your WAN would be connected through a router. Where LAN can have network switches like or wireless access points to further subdivide into manageable small networks. Maybe you can create, if your switch is a manageable switch, you can create further into a sub LANs and control your security where even at your home also. So this is one kind of network. And when it is going to the campus networks, LAN and WAN are separated by a router, as you know very well. So if it is you are part of the campus network or educational institute network or any organization network, so your WAN, nothing but the outside network other than your LAN, would be separated by a router. A firewall may be deployed like a Cisco ASA within the network to keep watch on network packets from security standpoint. And this division of internal and external network is called as a perimeter. So for this entire network, this could be a perimeter where it is connected to the internet. Of course, there are a number of devices are layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4 devices. And the fundamentals of this network is must for any security research, as because your security is research is on for these devices is as and devices are part of the entire network. So now coming to the any general typical network architecture, it shows about a kind of internal external DMG networks, which are part of even they are connected to the global network. Let's say here, so if you take in a kind of let's say you are in an organization, your finance department may be connected as in a different LAN, and your production department may be connected different LAN, and both would be separated within an internal firewall. Where, as I discussed at previous slide, the gateway firewall would be the an interconnect devices between your LAN, your Google server, your Hotmail server. So would be interface where that would be also separated with this router along with feature. So firewall is a kind of a device. This is only the filtering device, and of course this can be divided into further demilitarized DMG, where you may be hosting your email servers, your public web servers. So you go to any organization, anywhere in this world of cyber connected devices, the typical network architecture falls into this way only. Maybe some networks may have a number of subnets, or some may be having a number of gateways, where like in a 2 or 3 gateways would be there, where for 2 different ISPs are connected. That only may be change. Otherwise, a typical network architecture looks like this only. So, and also we need to understand, for any kind of a network, basically, so the IP addressing system is the only one addressing system to talk to each other. Of course, there is another addressing system.
Screen sharing, please.
Please.
Screen sharing is not available.
Oh, this is missed. Now it's okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Let's go. So as we discussed it, this is one typical architecture to connect both LANs, WANs, and DMG networks. And of course, so you need 2 types of addresses are associated to connect each other, each computer, each node in these networks. So the first one is, as you know very well about that MAC address, use it for communication between the computers within the same network, and the other address is IP address, used for communication between the systems on different network, and it goes beyond router, or as each computer system connected to internet should have a unique IP address that is generally we call as a public IP address. So in a complex network, if you go to that, like from an individual network, as an individual user in your home office, but most of the servers are hosted at the architecture of data center itself. So if a user is accessing a particular website, that may come to your firewall, where it filters about that the source address and destination address. Maybe you may not host all public addresses websites directly, so that you may be behind some kind of address. Let's take example of your website is also having a kind of a database server also. It may be hosted at separately somewhere at the back end. So your limit, that access to giving limited to initially to the web server, and if your web server is also has some kind of an application server and backend SQL server or Oracle server. So it is everywhere. It is like in a demilitarizing zones, like in a web server, application server, and of course your backend servers. Further, if you are hosting some kind of an IDS, IBS, Kerberos server, all are connected, it could be in a separate zone. So this is what another typical architecture. This is not like that. So if you are hosted every server, like a web server, application server, and a database server, so it is not giving directly. So there is a kind of a processing of control, that either through firewall devices, either in other mechanisms by installing some security softwares. So you need to look about all these cybersecurity tools with respect to attacker point of view, how an attacker can come and can do some kind of a data breach of your servers, or can attack like within a DDoS attack. At what level he can do that, and what kind of tools are required. So in both attacking point of view and defense point of view, even the research point of view, and of course you need to do all automation based on that, whatever the emerging technologies like an AI ML for cybersecurity, or that also we need to look about that. However, we look into that the tools further the slides. If you see that the security architecture with respect to the previous typical architecture of network, these many security tools are required. So right from installing an antivirus softwares and controlling the communication like with the firewalls, even the authorization, authentication, and accountancy of a particular user to access your network, and some of the intrusions, how do you find it out? So there are separate tools are required. And before hosting this application in your public network, you need to do audit and assessment of as a proactive security, and maybe who can access internal members, external members, like this kind of a diversification of the other authorization, authentication, and accountancy is also required. Maybe you are using encryption, there are encryption tools are required. So if you keep everywhere, wherever the required the security tool, the typical architecture look like in the same manner. So basically, uh, if you see that every device there is a security solution is there, are either in the form of hardware or in the form of software. So anything we missed in this. So maybe because of the this slide was made in a long back, but if you see that the products wise there are number of new products are came, but things are same, which we are expecting to implement in this network. And coming to the commercial softwares, if you look into that, these many commercial softwares are available, but see that so whether we can spend the money as much as money to buy these softwares, that is what the bigger question. So however, why we use open source security tools, this is what we need to question ourselves first before using these tools, because there are a lot of reasons we can have, or we can say benefits by choosing open source tools as a replacement of a costly software. Why I'm saying is a costly software, if you take any commercial software in the name of security, so is really costly. Uh, that's what. So whether each and every organization can invest the money towards the implementing such kind of a security architecture is the bigger question. So that's what open source programs give you a complete freedom without any shady terms and conditions. Because if you see that commercial softwares, there are a lot of terms and conditions, and because of the terms and condition is that you need to make, or you have to share your data towards them to understand your data. They create a threat intelligence. So if you are sharing the data, and with that data itself, they are creating threat intelligence for your organization. So that means what is the point that the data what you shared can't be shared with any other organization purpose also. So that is where one thing we need to look about that. So the second advantage of open source security tools is that so code is readily available. There is a transparency. You have access to all code, and you are free to do whatever you like with it. You try trial and error with respect to your organization requirement, and you can accordingly configure that, and you can secure your organization. The third point is no spying eyes. So top paid operating systems and tools track their users. If you take your antivirus program, so what is that guarantee that the antivirus program is not tracking your users, not tracking your IPs, not tracking your data? But if you use open source software tools, you have entire control on you. So that's what when coming to the cybersecurity tools, so it is a better to use open source security tools if you are well uh, known about these tools. And of course, cost is one of the reasons why security professionals spend some of their time working with open source security tools. As we discussed, is cost is very high, and even the renewal cost is also 30 to 40%. And every 3 years they are changing with the product names and product features, and you need to invest 100% money again. Whether for learning or experimenting, dealing with new or unique situations, or deploying on production basis, security professionals majorly looking into open source security, especially the research students are adopting these open source security tools. So, so in some cases, open source tools offer features or performance benefits that suppress their commercial counterparts also. So we experience that some of the tools are better than commercial tools. If you have kind of a knowledge how to use, and if you know that respective code and techniques, then we can improve our things in this. So this is where we use open source security tools. Now we look into that each and every tool of that particular area. Let's start with anti-malware tools, where basically the first tool is ClamAV. So most of the people doesn't have antivirus at your own systems if you are not part of any organization, because when you are part of organization may be installing antivirus product. But however, if you are a part of research, you are still student, and you can use this as a one tool, ClamAV, or even though you are like for your home system, you can use this. ClamAV is a powerful antivirus scanner focused towards integrates with mail service for attachment scanning. So it's not only user system, it also generally whomever using like a open source email, like a Jimbra kind of an email systems at various organizations, where C-DAC using its open source based emailing system, where we integrated with ClamAV, and it works perfectly, and it is definitely daily updated. They were giving as per the any compared to any commercial product. It also provides a flexible and scalable multi-threaded threaded daemon, like within a command line scanning tool for automating updating via the internet, and is based on shared library distributed with the Clam antivirus package, which you can use with your own software. You can integrate, you can with APIs for any other softwares, other security software also. And most importantly, this was the virus database is kept up to date. The project now acquired by source file, and you can download it is from clamav.net. And another free antivirus, ClamWin, and is used by more than 6 lakh users already worldwide on daily basis, because the downloads and they were doing downloads, especially the packages and patches, like in signatures they are downloading. That is where they were calculating. There are 6 lakh users are worldwide using this software, and it comes with an easy installer and open source code. Anybody can easily install this one. You maybe download and use it absolutely free of charge. And this one is the features are high detection rates for viruses and spyware. Scanning scheduler is also can be done, and automatic downloads could be also established with your system. And in addition to Microsoft Outlook, to remove virus infection attachments automatically. And the people used to say that this is one of the antivirus package alternative to Kaspersky or McAfee Antivirus Plus. So you can download it from www.clamwin.com. So the virus total is another web service. This is basically a web service that is analyzes submitted files for known viruses and other malware. If you feel that if a particular malware is available in your system and you identified in a particular file, you can upload into this website and check that whether that what kind of malware is attached to that particular file and what kind of impact do we have with that particular file. And moreover, when you are sharing the file contents may be also may be viewed by virus total. This is one thing you need to remember while you are uploading these files. And also it incorporates dozens of antivirus engines from different vendors, so that it can be updated regularly with new kind of signatures. Because you need to understand a point, a human being can speak 6,000 words in a day. So even though we are believing that there are 6,000 variety of malwares are coming to our system, of course, however, that system is prone to the 6,000 malwares are not is the point, because the 6,000 malwares all together means, so let's say you are using in a Windows system, but malwares could be a Linux malwares also is part of the 6,000, so that your Windows system may not prone to that all 6,000 malwares, but definitely few of them, it could be based on what kind of files you have in your Windows system, could be prone to that. So that's what everybody recommends, to do your antivirus scan every day when you start. So participating with the various antivirus vendors, so this virus total can give an updated thing for the through web, so that you can get everything on every kind of virus. It could be scanned. That is what advantage with the virus total. It is open to all, so that's what we consider as an open web site for this scanning of various malwares. And you can access through www.virustotal.com. So you can upload a file or a URL also. Suppose when you are accessing in a website, if you feel that that is a malformed URL, so that also could be searched, so that whether you wanted to visit or not, that decision can be taken. And if you know that a kind of file, or that you feel that there is a scan engine is there, you can also search through this website. So other than that, you also have VT virus total intelligence. It's like a paid one, and VT hunting, they're like in a threat hunting, where you can also take as an paid one. Other than that, the previous what we are discussed is only open, and the remaining things, the intelligence, hunting, and all come under paid only. So the third one is Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes is an anti-malware, is a malware scanner for Windows. Of course, this also works for the even the Mac devices also. So they claim to use a variety of technologies to find malware undetectable by other malware scanners. But this is a free trial with a limited options and a supported full version with the ability to run scheduled scans. It's not only for Windows, and you can download it for Mac, Android, iOS, Chromebook, and even it can check your privacy issues also. So it's basically you can download freely with limited features, and if you want full features, it could be in a kind of you need to have a minimal amount. Now coming to the firewalls. So what is exactly firewall? A network device that creates a separation between public networks and private networks, where public networks can be considered as an internet, and private means your own individual organization network or your home network. By examining a network traffic and allowing only specific traffic to pass between the untrusted and trusted networks is the main function of the firewall. So basically it checks each and every packet, and the packet belongs to you or not. Then based on that rule only, it forwards this one. So it's like an interface between a protected network and an unprotected network or insecure network. The first tool, maybe every researcher knows about IP tables, and whoever using Linux, they can easily understand about the IP tables, because all Linux distros support IP tables, which is essential truth table of a database. It lets the net filter program, because the background is only the net filter algorithm. So IP tables, maybe we are considering without GUI, so that most of the things can be done command line itself. But this net filter algorithm decide now how to allow Linux distros support IP tables, and it's like it's a kernel mode. It's always privileges to configure. Each packet is stripped into various fields, and the rules from the truth table apply to this applied on this particular various fields of packet, and to make a decision in terms of letting to go ahead or drop it. So that is where we look into that. Of course, if you are using Linux machine, maybe it is already installed in your machine. Otherwise, you can simply type in Google search like IP tables how to. So you can have that. So another one is Contract, is an extension to IP tables. Contract is essentially tracks the connection for all network sessions. So where IP tables are based on you can say that network layer filtering, where it can see the packets, because you know very well about that the data in network layer is called as a packet. where in the transport layer is segment, and maybe in the application layer it is a kind of a data. So contract operates at layer 3 and 4 also. So it's that's what we can say that this contract tool is extension to the IP tables, because IP tables is mainly works on layer 3 and contract supports the layer 4 activities. That means transport layer, where that major trans TCP and UDP protocols are the part of that fourth layer. So it creates a useful about information each packet, and by reading its various fields like a port number, session number, and all. If the high level protocol is HTTP, the packets are found to contain HTTP headers as well as session based source and destination IP address as well as service port information. So if you generally IP tables is only looks about IP, the respective protocols in IP layer only. It doesn't know about what kind of application status and what kind of sessions. But once you do, if you are added as a contract, it's like in a session based firewall also. It can understand sessions, and it can also can see about what kind of an above layer protocols and their respective fields. So net filter is a filter, powerful packet filter, which is supporting both IP tables, and of course we discussed about contract, which is a fourth layer protocol, and in general implemented in standard Linux kernel. The user space IP tables tool is used for configuration wherever it's, as we discussed, it's a kind of a GUI based tool which supports both IP tables and stateless and stateful also. All kinds of network address and port translation also can be done with this net filter. So what is exactly stateless and stateful? Maybe stateful is basically the state information, the session information. Even though when it is when a particular client is accessing to the server, once it is contacted server, the client position maybe is at the time is stateless. But even though you need to identify that what is the state without state of that position, also identify and need to be filtered. So that's what the stateful and stateless things can be done with a net filter, and it includes different modules for handling unruly protocols also. So most of the firewalls based on most of the rules in firewall based on the protocol, such as let's say take example FTP, RTTP kind of protocols. But there is an unknown protocol also. It should have some kind of a filtering method to control various attacks. So this is what net filter project. If you are really a kind of in a part of research in the security about like a filtering softwares, there are a number of projects are going on like IP tables, NF tables, live NFT, NL. So these are some of the projects which you can look about that, and maybe it helps in your research. And it's having its separately Git repository to understand various projects, and you can download that. So the next firewall is maybe like an OpenBSD PF. This is also, even though whether you believe it or not, some of the state data centers are using this PF sensors, PF OpenBSD PF, to collect the data and filter the data. Like NetFilter and IP tables on other platforms, OpenBSD uses this PF sensors, and also using as a firewall too. It also addresses network address translation, because network address translation is very much important, as you are very limited to have in a public IP addresses. And if you wanted to host as many as services within limited public IP addresses, network address translation very much useful. And also this OpenBSD PF normalizing the TCP/IP traffic with the bandwidth control and the packet prioritization also. It also supports some eccentric features such as a passive OS detection, and whomever connected to a particular server in your DMG, you try to identify the host machine, host OS detection passively also. That means So it would be useful for your threat intelligence, what kind of operating systems you are connecting your server, or what kind of browsers they are using, so that through that browsers and operating systems, what kind of threats can happen. This is what you need to detect uh, in for future purposes. So that's what this firewall is supporting a lot to collecting such kind of things. So you can download this from openbsd.org.facpf, and this is the website, openbsd. So Siphon is an open source VPN project. VPN is nothing but virtual private network. So to keep your privacy, whenever you are part of an internet or especially public network, you need to connect your private network or system in a private network. So by using public network, you require VPN. VPNs are also different VPNs are available, like a gateway to gateway VPN, host to gateway VPN, and host to host VPN, like end systems. Whatever you are using Skypes and even the WhatsApp or part of end-to-end encryption project. It's like end-to-end encryption is nothing but a VPN between two mobiles while you are connecting WhatsApp. So end-to-end system encryption is only available for the data on move. That means when you are sending a message from your WhatsApp mobile to another WhatsApp mobile, while moving the data between these two mobiles, the only is end-to-end encryption. But however, you cannot, it won't encrypt at the data at both end mobiles. So that is where it is very useful for investigators to investigate such kind of an WhatsApp related cyber crimes. So this is a kind of an VP PySopen is basically the open source VPN project for Windows and Android. So you can connect your server and your Windows operating system or your Android phone, and you can establish an Android for this all Android mobile phones, a kind of a server at your organization. It's generally called as a gateway to client VPN based things, but you have to look about that. So when you are connecting gateway to gateway VPN, so when further gateway to internal machine, when you are connecting, there is no VPN is available. So these are the gap areas are available. So for that, you can use this Siphon project to integrate your VPN activities for any kind of product which you are developing. Is a basically circumvention tool from Siphon Inc. is supporting, utilizes VPN, SSS, and HTTP proxy technology, and is basically using for the uncensored access to internet content. Now coming to the file and disk encryption tools. So basically open source Tripwire. Now Tripwire is formerly is a fully open source tool, but however now Tripwire made it himself, rather than how that IBM bought Red Hat. The Tripwire team itself is becoming as an company and now selling their product. So basically is a data integrity tool for monitoring and alerting on a specific file change on a range of systems. So basically, if you have stored a file in server, if somebody is tampered or somebody changed content, so that file integrate check can be done through this tool. It's a very beautiful tool where we use this 10 years back, even though secured communication purposes. So this is still available on github.com, Tripwire open source. If anybody wanted to download it and further improve it, you can do it, because this product became as a commercial tool. And if some team comes and works on tool further and improve this tool as another equivalent commercial product, that would be great. The TrueCrypt is basically another great open source tool which serves the purpose of data encryption. Like it supports both Windows, Mac platforms, and also supports almost all Linux distributions. Typically on Ubuntu and CentOS systems, running in a business critical data center, TrueCrypt is widely used to encrypt disk volumes to keep data safe from physical theft by attackers. It works on the principle on the fly encryption, whereby the encryption and decryption operations are performed once the authentication key is provided, and the process takes place transparently to the user. User doesn't know about that there is an encryption is happening. Like WhatsApp, you don't know it's whether it's end-to-end encryption as a user, but definitely it is encrypting. The TrueCrypt is also the similar kind of encryption, on the fly encryption, so very much transparent to the end user. To generally achieving this, the utility installs kernel level drivers at the Linux operating system. In case of Windows, the device drivers, by hooking up the disk management modules of operating system, acting as a catalyst between disk read writes and the application layer. This can also give TrueCrypt a capability of creating a single encrypted hidden value inside an existing file system value for elevated security. Since it can handle an entire mounted volume, it can be easily used to encrypt data on USB pen drive too. So that's what, if you wanted to encrypt your USB files of your research, so use this TrueCrypt also. Basically, it helps you a lot. So now coming to the intrusion detection and prevention systems. So if you go back 10 years, if anybody talks about cybersecurity, and especially in the research side, there are a lot of researches are happened on intrusions and monitoring activities only. Let's we see that. So what is exactly intrusion detection system? Is a device that sits between firewall and gateway. So that means a system which is required for firewall. So even though if you have a firewall, IDS is required, means there is a drawback to the firewall, because firewall's function is that according to rule, it allows or it filters, but it cannot understand the data. It cannot understand if somebody evading the firewall, so that you required another device which is called like an intrusion detection system between your gateway and firewall. So IDSS generally serves in the three essential security functions, like a monitor, detect, and respond to unauthorized activity. So basically, it is also having three components like sensing devices, management devices, and analytic devices. So basically, the data, it should be collected from various places based on whether it is HIDC. HIDS means a host intrusion detection system, or NIDS, network intrusion detection system. In case of network, you should have multiple sensors across the junctions between your networks, subnetworks, where it collects continuously data. Based on the data, it analyzes. Your analyzer will analyze based on the signatures are available, and either it says an intrusion or no intrusion. And management model will inform you the respective people if anything happens on your network. So HID also is having the same components, but however, that sensor is only sitting on particular host, so that continuously collect the data with respect to host only. So the best open source tool in this regard is not. It excels at traffic analysis and packet logging on IP networks, detects thousands of worms, vulnerabilities, exploit attempts, port scan, suspicious behavior by protocol analysis and content searching and preprocessor. Even though through protocol analysis, content searching, and various preprocessor, SNOT detects thousands of worms based on the signatures or based on the anomaly behavior. SNOT uses a flexible rule-based language and a modular detection engines. So because Smart, when you download Smart, is a very small thing, small engine. But if you required a kind of a GUI, basic analysis and security engine can be downloaded. This could be an interface for analyzing Smart alerts in a web-based mode. Of course, Sourcefire offers certified rules for $500 on our free 30-day delay feed. So if you don't worry about 30-day delayed, so you can use it as a free version, so that whatever the 30 days back signatures only available to your feed. And if you want the updated one every day, uh, because of you are hosting a critical operations at your data center, you need to understand daily basis updates for that finding, understanding, and various intrusion to your network. However, if you are part of research and you are not live hosting, so 30-day delayed feed is okay, because for the doing experiments and research, so that it can be utilized freely. It is only the feeds, the intelligence part only. Otherwise, all features are open source based, the Snort. And you can download it from www.snort.org. So, and OSSEC HIDS. So this OSSEC HIDS performs log analysis, integrity checking, rootkit detection, time-based alerting, and active response. In addition to the IDS functionality, it is also commonly used as SEM, Security Event Management, or SIM, Incident Management Solution. So basically, because of the powerful log analysis engines, ISPs, and even though large universities and data centers are running OSSEC HIDS to monitor and analyze their firewalls, IDSs, web servers, and authentication logs. Even the monitoring your security devices is also much important. And believe that these large organizations, ISPs, are using OSSEC HIDS. This means how it is a perfect IDS. You can understand. So it is mainly to reduce the burden of the commercial tools cost. And it can be downloaded from www.ossec.net. And NOG-IOS is knowing for being the best server monitoring software. If you wanted to monitor a particular software or server, so NOG-IOS is better. Server monitoring is made easy because of the flexibility to monitor your servers with both agent-based and agentless monitoring. With over 5,000 different nodes, it can different add-ons available to monitor your servers. So the community at the NOG-IOS exchange have left no stone unturned. You say something, then they use it to give within a days, so that it could be, this is one of the best NOG-IOS tool over on Snort and all. So it can do, the objects can be considered as a database server, even though hardware kind of a router, switches, application servers. So as many as plugins can be integrated with respect to your servers. And of course, even the clients also can be used it. And this is one of the best tool in the open source, and which we are, C-DAC itself is using from few years, so right from 2008 onwards. OSIM is Ellen Walt OSIM. Maybe you might have heard about. It stands for Open Source Security Information Management, and to provide a comprehensive, detailed view of compilation of tools, which when working together for both system security administrators over each and every aspect of network, hosts, physical access devices, and servers also. So like it is also including your server management, system admin management also is there. And moreover, it incorporates several other tools like NOG-IOS and OSSEC HIDs. So adding some add-ons with your NOG-IOS, like a ticketing system and all. So instead of only downloading NOG-IOS, you can download it from OSIM itself, where NOG-IOS is part of and OSSEC is part of this one. And now ATT is supporting this OSIM, and you can download it from cybersecurity att.com. Squeal built by network security analysts for network security analysis. So generally, people will pronounce it as a Squeal. Squeal's main component is an initiative of GUI that provides access to real-time events. Like you see right side, how you can see that real-time event session data and raw packet captures. It facilitates the practice of network security monitoring and event-driven analysis. So it can be downloaded from this URL github.io. Now Honeybee is a small daemon that creates virtual hosts on network. The host can be configured to run arbitrary services, and their TCP personality can be adapted so that they appear to be running a certain versions of operating system. It also enables a single host to claim multiple addresses on a LAN for network simulation. It's basically Honey Network or honeypots uses for understanding about what kind of threats are coming towards your organization or your home network. So that is what mainly people will use Honeybee. A lot of researches are going on Honeybee to make your threat intelligence. Let's say if anybody is working in threat intelligence research, they might be required this Honeybee platform. So even though a small daemon you can install in your Linux machine in your Windows and do nothing, just start your activity so that how many kind of threats are coming towards even no user intervention. You can see as many as threats are coming towards. And the beauty of this Honeybee daemon is also you can host in a single system, and it can show that as many as virtual machines, virtual addresses, so that attacker feels that there is a network is there in your home system, so that you try to access, and how he is trying each and everything would be noted down so that you can understand easily about that what is the attacker's point of view. So it is possible to ping the virtual machine. It's not like that simply it is creating a multiple virtual PCs, and it is giving a virtual IP addressing system so that attacker feels as many as systems are available. You can do ping it and you can do trace route it, and any type of the service on the virtual machine can be simulated according to a small simple configuration file. It has many library dependencies. It is very difficult to install it, but however, if you put some efforts, you can easily install it for your research purposes. So there are a number of tools are there. So ARP, address resolution protocol, where it's you using for the second layer kind of things with respect to the third layer addressing system, IP addresses. And NTTL scan is a quick network topology scanner to understand a particular scanner, particular network topology. So this tool would be used, and it is also part of Honeydew tool. And AnyDSM is .pl. This is basically is a log analyzer written by the Brazilian HoneyNet team that can generate text summaries from Honeybee logs. The summaries can be filtered by specifying IP addresses, ports, protocols, and networks. Honeycomb is a plugin for Honeybee that can be used to automatically generate signatures for network intrusion detection system like Snort. So Snort can be integrated with this Honeycomb. And Honeybee is another log file analysis tool for Honeybee. It provides a graphical overview. If you require any graphical overview, so this could be considered. Now coming to reverse engineering tools. So reverse engineering fuels entire technical industries and paves the way for competition. Reverse engineers work on hard problems like integrating software with proprietary protocols and code. They also are often tasked with unraveling the mysteries of new products released by competitors. So basically, they need to understand what kind of features and how they develop of competitive products. So there are a number of tools are available which are required. Maybe you require some kind of a debugger. Debugger is nothing but a software program that attaches to and controls the software programs. A debugger allows single stepping of code, debug tracing, setting breakpoints, and viewing variables and memory state in the target program as it executes in a stepwise fashion. So also you require some kind of a fault injection tools that can supply malformed or improperly formed input to the target software process to cause failures, so that one class on these tools and program failures can be analyzed to determine whether the errors exist in target software. So a disassembler is a tool that converts machine readable code and into assembly language, and decompiler is a tool that converts assembly code or machine code into the source code in a higher level languages. See that. So these are the for debugging tools, disassembling and decompilers are all part of reverse engineering, and whomever doing research with respect to the various malwares and reverse engineering tools, these are the terms which are required and these are the tools are required. So like let's take example OLDB DBG is a debugger, is by far one of the most used debuggers in this world for 32-bit programs for Microsoft Windows, and it is a dynamic debugger, and like Java Snoop, EDP debugger, JAD, Java decompiler, and like a tools like APK tool, a tool of reverse engineering Android APK files, and dex2jar is also with respect to Android dex and Java class files. Smally is basically an assembler and disassembler for dex format used by Dalvik or at the latest version of Android. Valgrind is a programming tool for memory debugging, memory leak detection, and profiling. Is originally designed to be free memory debugging tool for Linux, but has since evolved to become a generic framework for creating dynamic analysis tools, such as the checkers and profilers. Yara is one of the good tools, primarily used in malware research and detection. It provides a rule-based approach to create a description of malware families based on textual binary patterns. Now, coming to the free and open source exploitation tools. So the first one will come always Metasploit. So Metasploit took the security world by storm when it was released in 2004. It is an advanced open source platform for developing, testing, and using exploit code. It's not only the testing the vulnerabilities, finding the vulnerabilities, and playing with payloads and exploits. It also gives an opportunity to develop exploit code. The extensible model through which payloads, encoders, no-op generators, and exploits can be integrated has made it possible to use this Metasploit framework as an outlet for cutting-edge exploitation research. It ships with hundreds of exploits. As you can see in their list of models, this makes writing your own exploit easier, and it certainly beats sourcing the .NET corners of the internet for illicit shellcode of dubious quality. One extra is Metasploitable, an intentionally insecure Linux virtual machine you can use for testing Metasploit and other exploitation tools without hitting live servers. Metasploit was completely free, but the project was acquired by Rapid7 in 2009, and it soon sprouted commercial variants. The framework itself is still free and open source, but they now also offer a free but limited community edition. A more advanced expression edition can come to you with a $5,000 per year and per user. That is a full-featured Pro edition. So still, it is downloadable and use free open source tools. And so maybe we all used this initial our research during the period of 2004 and 5-6 and demonstrable, and still it is a very much competitive tool, even though it is open source. And compared to commercial edition is, as we discussed it before, the latest cell codes, latest exploits would be added for that immediately on availability for the commercial editions. Otherwise, most of the known vulnerabilities, still Metasploit is one good tool. And whomever trying to do some kind of research in writing exploits, this is one of the best tool, Metasploit. And W3F is a web application attack and additive framework. The project's goal is to create a framework to help you secure your web applications by finding and exploiting all web application vulnerabilities. This framework is basically developed by using Python to be used to and extend and license under GPL version 2.0. So this tool helps you whenever you are planning to host in a particular website, and you can scan and understand what kind of vulnerabilities exist, and based on that you can this is one of the great tool for the before hosting. You can test it as in a proactive security. The SQL map is another open source penetration testing tool where it automates the process of detecting and exploiting SQL injection flaws and taking over a back-to-end database servers with coming with a broad range of features from database fingerprinting. So identifying what kind of database to fetching the data from the database also is the part of this SQL map. Even accessing the underlying file system also possible with the SQL map, and you can do with the commands via out of band connection also. Is using for development release from their subversion repository. The SET social engineering toolkit incorporates many useful social engineering tools. Basically, you know that social engineering is growing on. Social engineering attacks are growing on. And if you want to do all in one interface, this is one specifically designed to perform advanced attacks again in a particular individual. And if you want to target a user to know about how he is socially moving and getting the information through various modules, all modules are part of this. The main purpose of SET is to automate and improve on many of the social engineering attacks out there. So I don't think so. There is no commercial edition is not there like this SET. It can automatically generate exploit hiding web pages or email messages and can use Metasploit payloads. Also, you can integrate your Metasploit payloads. For example, connect back with shell once the page is opened. So now this is only available in this JIT hub.com. Trusted Sec only is maintaining, and maybe I don't think so because it is also going to be very commercially slowly. So if anybody wanted to do research in the open source based for social engineering toolkit, social engineering attacks on a human element, maybe download and improve it and share it as a different tool. SQL Ninja is exploits web applications that use Microsoft SQL Server as a database of backend. It focuses on getting running cell on the remote stores. It doesn't find an SQL injection in the first place, but automates the exploitation process once one has been discovered. So the main key to the SQL Ninja is it should identify the SQL injection. Once it is identified in SQL injection possibilities, it automatically makes entire process as a one. It's been this one. DRADIS is an open source framework. These are all frameworks are available for exploiting purposes. One of the good tool is that effective sharing of information among the participants in a penetration test. Let's say if we have a penetration testing team and targeted a particular organization, so the team members are doing parallelly on a particular website and a particular organization. Once any particular user is identified something, it automatically should be updated in this tool so that others can be easily find it out. So if you are using this framework for all a team-based penetration testing, so that you know very well about each user how they are doing. Let any user one did already some exploitation. It is waste of time for others to do the same thing. So that's what the users can coordinate very much easily by using this particular DRADIS tool. and it is a self-contained web application that provides a centralized repository of information to keep track of what has been done so far and what is still ahead. So it has a plugins to read and collect the output of a variety of network scanning tools like Nmap, Burpsuit, and NICTO. So security editing and forensic tools. I may not cover all tools, but however, I'm trying to cover as many as tools in this. Kali is one of the biggest source for all security engineers, researchers. So its name is look like a Hindu goddess that is nothing but destroyer of evil forces. So maybe Kali could be used in the similar lines to secure your system, to secure your data, rather than using offensive technologies. But however, the Kali is comprises of all kinds of tools with respect to penetration testing, forensics, whether it is proactive, reactive, or you can have all kinds of tools in this. Most of the things which we discussed also. A Debian, including Metasploit also. A Debian-based Linux distribution aimed at advanced penetration testing and security editing. It contains several hundreds of tools aimed at various information security tasks such as the penetration testing, forensic, reverse engineering. So whatever you say in the security research, the more that all kinds of tools are maybe available in the Kali itself. The ideal place to start if you wanted to start using open source tools for editing and forensics. And when our first time we used it to have backtrack the name instead of Kali, the backtrack 1, 2, even though I used it, I still remember during 2000 time we used a backtrack tool, a CD, we used it to get in through magazines, because at that time we don't have much internet space to download. So we use it to get this backtrack 1, backtrack 2 series through various magazines. Just boot the distribute and you have all your tools available. If it is in a USB format or CD format, you have to just boot it. All tools will be available. And a lot of tutorials also available. How you can use the Kali, you can use as a bootable USB. If you are already using a kind of a labs, let's take an example of virtual box kind of environment, virtual VMware environment, you can use also install as Linux and Kali Linux that. And you can, if you have a cloud, you also can implement in the cloud like OpenStack, Azure also. So you can do a lot of things like in a probe. You can integrate with Raspberry Pi also, you can install as an edit device. So set up a VPN, SSH, DNS tunnel to your headquarters. Generally what you done, if you wanted to edit and access any organization, we request an SSH or VPN, so that that whatever the findings, if somebody is a man in the middle, it cannot see that, so that you have to use some kind of an pre security options while you are doing penetration testing with anybody. The huge number of tools are available, whether you say it, various steps of penetration testing such as information gathering, vulnerability analysis, wireless attacks, web application security, whatever we discussed previously, exploitation tools, even the stress testing, because stress testing is very much important to avoid DDoS attacks, denial of service attacks. So that kind of testing also, that tools also available in the Kali tools. So not only that, forensic tools, snipping and snooping, password attacks, maintaining access, as we discussed it, when you are offensive mode, you need to access continuously, maintain that access. Along with that, even the reverse engineering tools like whatever we discussed, APK tool, O debugger, OLLDBG, Smalley, Valgrind, Yara, all are available in the reverse engineering tools. And if you are planning to start hardware hacking kind of things also, Android SDK, APK tool, Arduino, Dex2Jar, Sakis 3G, Smalley, all such kind of tools are available. And once if you have done your activities, if you wanted to report it, and maybe case file, cherry tree, qtcap, DAS2 Unix, Dradis which we discussed, Magic Tree, etc. tools are available as part of Kali. Now the next tool, Nmap. Nmap is also a one good tool, which is a network mapper. Is part of your Kali box also is coming. Is a free and open source utility for network discovery and security auditing. Many systems and network administrators also find it useful for tasks such as a network inventory and managing service upgrade. So basically, it uses raw packets based to determine what hosts are available in the network, what services are running in the network. So there are variants of Nmap is available like a ZMap and ZMap, etc. But let's just take example of Windows operating system. There is a ChenMap tool is there, and it also does like an NCAT, flexible data transfer, indifference utility for comparing scanning results, and ping packet generation and response tools. So Wireshark is another tool. Maybe this Wireshark and Nmap are the first tools anybody uses in the cybersecurity to understand. It is a network protocol analyzer. It lets you view traffic in much detail as you want. Still, we are using Wireshark. Of course, TCP dump is another tool where we use it because that header is very much lesser when compared to Wireshark. Wireshark is a kind of a GUI tool to understand initially, to learn some monitoring and packets, how packets are happening and what kind of attacks are happening. Initial days, Wireshark may be very much useful, but when compared to TCP dump is like in the same way it collects the packets. With the experience of Wireshark, you can easily manage the TCP dump tool. How these tools generally work together, how they will do monitoring together, that is what I discuss for next 5 minutes. And based on that, we will take about the various questions. So you know very well about TCP uses 6 flags, the combination of flags for any kind of data communications. The 6 flags are synchronization, acknowledgement, finish, urgent, push, reset packets. And you know very well about TCP uses three-way handshake, where let's say generally TCP communication happens. A computer is when talking to a particular port 80, so there would be a synchronization message will be sent, SYN packet will be sent, SYN flag will be sent to the server. I want to connect you at port 80. Then the server responds back with a SYN plus acknowledgement. The response with the acknowledgement packet to the with respect to the synchronization packet or SYN flag of client. Yes, I'm ready for connection. Then that client would be sending a fine, another acknowledgement with respect to SYN plus acknowledgement, whatever the server sent. So this is what three-way handshake before accessing any kind of communication, whether you use an application like WhatsApp or whether you use any server access, web access, FTP access. This is what whenever you are using a TCP communication, this three-way handshake is must. But how to identify, understand this subject? That is where you use Wireshark, and to furthermore you use Nmap. Let's see some of the things, some of the examples which we discuss by using these tools. The connection establishment. So once the three-way handshake happen, then connection is established between client and server. Then data would be transferred. Whatever you request, you made it, your file you are forwarding with the flags push and acknowledgement. Data would be sending from client to the server, or server is replying back with the push and acknowledgement. And at the same time, the connection termination, either server or client would be sent in a finish packet, finish flag to the either side. So let's say take example here in this session, the maybe client was sent a finish packet, I wanted to close connection, then server would be sending another acknowledgement with respect to this fin flag. Then also it sends another fin flag along with the acknowledgement of fin to the back to the client, so that I'm closing the connection. Then finally client sends a goodbye, a final acknowledgement. So when any initiation of the data between two computers or any connection between two computers, is a three-way handshake when you are closing four-way handshake. This is what called a legitimate connectivity between client and server. So other than anything happens, so that could be considered as a kind of a threat or an intrusion. So let's say in this example, TCP connect scan, where basically the SYN in this client is sending a SYN packet, then server is sending in a SYN packet or acknowledgement with respect to that particular SYN or reset. If the port is available, it may be sending an acknowledgement packet with respect to SYN packet sent by SYN flag sent by this client. If port is not available, the reset packet would be sending to the set. So it's a closed. In case of acknowledgement sent to the SYN packet, acknowledge third handshake, the client will send the acknowledge packet and reset. Why it is resending? It is only scanning of the remote server, web server, the scan of a particular port. Once I know that the server is available with the SYN acknowledgement, so there is no data sending required because I'm not requesting for a data. I'm only knowing about whether port is available at the server or not. Once I know this three-way handshake, so I am sending a reset packet, port is closed. This is where the scanning engine will work. If it is another example, so how we did? So we are doing that with Nmap tool, with a -s, with the T-scan. T-scan is like in a full connect scan, and these are the ports 8023 with respect to this IP address which I am scanning. So I am getting this with Nmap tool. There is a telnet is filtered, so it doesn't know fully about whether TCP 23 port is available or not. But port 80 is open in that remote system. This is what I know that. So along parallelly, I also run wires where wires are telling that. So HTTP sends and this is the packet, SYN packet is sending, and there is a reset acknowledgement packet came so that the port is maybe filtered, and in this HTTP, so this is the SYN packet for HTTP, acknowledgement will come. For this telnet, this is maybe a reset packet, but this HTTP, so this is acknowledgement of SYN packet was sent, and again acknowledgement of the packet sent, then again client was sent and a reset packet. So this is where we need to understand with other acknowledgement scan also. In case, so generally we expect any for connectivity that packet is initiated with the flag of SYN packet, but somebody did an acknowledgement scan with an Nmap -SA, capital A IP address. The server won't respond because server is always expecting about a synchronization packet or synchronization flag of TCP, where it is got as a first packet as an acknowledgement flag. Server doesn't know how to respond, so that it won't respond. Then in this case, client understand if there is no response within a specified time, that port may be opened. Why? Because if a port is closed, the server may be sending the reset packet. Once if it gets reset packet in time, so the server port is closed. And if server is not responding, we may say that port is filtered. The most of the cases, port may be opened. So this way that scanning engines works, and this way we also need to understand, and this way only IDSS also understands about various communication. Similarly, that whatever I discussed, it uses Nmap capital A as the flag, acknowledgement flag, and 423. So unfiltered. So maybe both are available. In this case, initial full that is filtered, but here is unfiltered. That's what you need to do. Number of scans to find various ports available in this one. So in similarly, like an off-open scan, so you can do a lot of scans with an understanding through Nmap and Wireshark. You can clearly understanding all these packets, ICMP scanning, even the ping while you are doing ping also, you can know about by using these open source security tools. So OpenWares is a vulnerability scanner, is a fork of open source Nessus2 tool. So Nessus is another open source tool where you will get assessment of the network devices, and the most popular vulnerability scanner and third most popular security program currently in use. It uses a lot of tools, including Nmap, Wireshark, web-based vulnerability assessment tool also. Especially important for the various vulnerabilities with respect to the community is supporting a lot in this. EtherCap is a tool in such a way that the man in the middle type of attacks which you can do it is a EtherCap. Ethereal is that nothing but Wireshark tool itself is the next version of Ethereal is at the same EtherCap is like supports you to be sitting between 2 or 3 systems. Like you can do MAC spoofing, IP spoofing kind of activities with this tool. Ghidra is another software reverse engineering tool which we discussed number of tools. But this framework developed by the NSA and it helps analyze malicious code and malware like viruses and can give cybersecurity professionals to a better understanding of potential vulnerabilities in their networks and systems. The tool is ideal for software engineers. And Shift is there for those who are doing a cyber forensics, free open source incident response and forensic tools designed to perform detailed digital forensic examination in a variety of settings. Shift can match any current incident response and forensic tool set. And Shift is developed by basically the SANS Institute, popular SANS Institute, and it's most of the people are using this workstation. And binwalk is basically the interesting files data from binary images and extract raw compression streams, and of course for a variety of architectures. And DD-RESC is a kind of a disk duplication kind of tools where it is another tool which is useful for the cyber forensics. And Explico is help you to extract files from the internet traffic capture that application data contained. For example, from a PCAP file, Explico extracts each email, POP, IMAP. So you collected a lot of data through Wireshark, especially the PCAP file. If you wanted to look about a particular like in a POP, IMAP, SMTP protocol data, you can do that also. Explico is an open source network forensic analysis tool, and it is composed from 4 macro components, like a decoder manager called DEMA, Explico, IP coder, and manipulators, a visualization system to view data extracted. The setbot is encryption is critical for many security standards, including everyone's new favorite. Now the global GDPR is implementing across, so implementing encryption can be complicated and costly. But the EFF has tried to make a less, both with the tools like setbot. Is an open source automatic client for that fetches and deploys SSL and TLS certificates for your web servers. Setbot is a good tool for begin and front end for less encrypt, but it has gone to be a client for any CA that supports an ACME protocol. So Veracrypt is another free open source disk encryption utility available to the encrypt of the file systems. And these are the basically the tools which you can look about the number of tools and research one also. Let's say you take usomeopensource.com. This is one bigger tool, source of the various open source tools and various researches. And hackingtools.in is another website which have kind of all hacking related tools. However, there are some security tools also there. The sectools.org is that the ranking of these open source tools, including the commercial tools also. So they will do the ranking. Of course, the Wireshark, Metasploit, all these tools are the top 10 tools. So there is automation. If you are working for some automation, these are some of the Ansible lockdown tool, Slavis, this pluggable framework for automated decryption. So if you are doing such kind of thing, these are the resources are available in this. So I think I have taken a lot of your time, but anyway, thank you for your patience and support. So we are talking about number of open source security tools, but what's about security for open source technologies which we are using? This is always question. So most people think that this is available open freely, then more attacks can happen because every attacker knows about how the tool. So that is rightly correct, but you see that there are a lot of open tools. If you integrate for your environment by your own way, it is very difficult to crack. That is what my thing. With this, I'm closing at this moment. And if you have any some questions, you can ask me. Which
Hello?
is the best open source firewall for home use? See, PF sensor is good. Open sense is better than PF sense. Okay, PF sensor is using by, even though, as I said rightly, even though some data centers. So updates are coming. See, ultimately any tool, you need a regular updates, because this all based on the various, like whether it is IDS, IPS, based on the signatures are required.
So there is a question from Akash, sir. What is the general estimated time to find the solution of new virus or malware?
See, the companies are taking minimum 2 to 3 days. An individual, it's based on his capacity. See, because that's what we cannot say that particular antivirus is the best antivirus. So on that day, whichever antivirus is giving a right solution to a right problem, that day itself is we called as that antivirus is good. That's what we always suggest, that when any organization is trying to buying an antivirus, don't buy all license from same company. If you have a different departments, let buy the different versions, different vendors licenses, where it would be easily implemented. Even the one antivirus has given on that day best one. So best of best, you have to take it. Top 3, top 5, you have to take it on average.
Which open source tools are used to monitor microservices?
See, there is no such thing that the microservice, in particular when coming to the cybersecurity tools. See, these are basically why you need to monitor in a microservice. It is a web service. If it is a web service, what purpose you are doing? See, there are a lot of monitoring tools are there. The monitoring tools are different with respect to security, with respect to network, with respect to web service. So ultimately, all these services are talking about on TCP/IP layer. If you say that if you collect the packets and live packets, and if you are able to integrate in a what you call NAG iOS, it can do for that also. NAG iOS works for both security and both network and even the application also. So that's why we have a variety of tools, like as I discussed, Open VAS, OpenSSL. You need to integrate all these combination of tools so that you can monitor even minor services of that particular.
Sajid is asking, sir, Windows and Linux are developed in C language. Why we have different file formats in them?
See, sir, this is a good question actually. So if everybody develops in the same way, so there is only one vendor in this world. See, these are all marketing strategy. So if it is, if you are also developing like Linux, so there is no evolution of the Microsoft, no easy use of it won't reach to as many as users the Windows operating system. So there is always, even though if you see that as many as open source tools are there, but why the companies are buying them? So there is a background, a kind of a business point of view also there.
Thank you, sir. That's all for today. Thank you very much for your wonderful session and the question and answer session. So we hope we'll have a more in-depth sessions maybe after this COVID-19.
Yeah, I missed one tool, Security Onion tool. So it is one of the good tool. It's like works for the all security. So like onion is basically what? There is a layers of the security, the implementation of the layers of security. See, so this question was Amardeepa Era. So you maybe please write to my thing, then I'll give the sharing of the what is exactly the full details of the onion tool. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll end the session now. Thank you very much, sir.